tell you a story about me and 3 girls.
Oh, there's so many lines.
Well, the first one, she came along about 14, and the first, I was putting together a school yearbook, and I saw this picture. I'm like, oh my goodness. I was homeschooled, just so you know. So I went to school at home, but there are a lot of other people who were homeschooled, and we had like a citywide homeschool yearbook. So I was putting that together, and there were all the other girls in big sailor dresses and really naff, horrible clothes, and then there's this one girl in jeans and a white t-shirt, and I was just like, oh my goodness, who is this? And I hadn't met her, and I was like, I have to meet her. And the first time I met her, I said hi, and I literally could not say anything else.
I've never heard that. I know.
Gifted. I stood there and I was just,
I
looked like a complete Bert. I'm trying to sort of my, the old mouth is opening and closing, but no words are coming out. And then as I'm saw a few times, one time her parents, they came over to her house, she came. I sat there at the kitchen table while her parents and our parents were talking, and I just sort of sat there thinking, gosh, she's cute, I wish I could think of something clever to say. Eventually, I got over all that and got to know her. And I really fancied her. She fancied me sort of on and off. Because she was the only really hot girl, and there were a lot of guys. So, there you go. She had her pick. But there was a period of about a year when we were quite close. And during that time, we went on a few dates, not many, and we mostly did stuff with each other's families. Hung out at church together a lot of stuff because I was a good church boy and all that. And we ended up having a really, really wonderful relationship. And then she moved away and came back for a visit. When she came back, we kind of picked up where we left off. And what we was graduation night. Some of my friends had graduated. And we were having a party, and we ended up trying something happened. We were wrestling on the floor, and then all of a sudden, as you do, and all of a sudden we were like face to face with each other, and I had this massive, not quite overwhelming, massive urge to kiss her. I mean, it was just like one of those moments, like and then I didn't. I told her later. I said, you know what? Earlier this evening, I came about this close to kissing you. And she said, I'm really glad you didn't. And, no, she didn't at the time. And then she sort of moved away, and we just drifted apart, and that was the end of it. And I look back on that now, and we had a really great relationship. We spent some fantastic times together, but neither of us we got into a place where we just gave ourselves wholeheartedly to one another. And so when we split apart, we were able to go our separate ways with good memories and great times that we spent together. That was something that I've taken away from my teenage years. I'm really, really happy because it was a crush. It was a pretty decent relationship. Lasted in its strength about a year, and it was great. Girl number 2. Somehow I got it in my head that I was going to marry this girl. And I had a thing, because I'd known her most of my life, and then one day she walked into the room, and all of a sudden, she had hair and a great smile and breasts, and it's just like, whoa, and I just fancied her like crazy. I just went from, she's really cute, to, I'm going to marry her in about 30 seconds. And so began this 2-year obsession that I had.
Well, 2 years now.
2 years. For 2 years, I obsessed about marrying her. I wrote this long letter to her that I never sent, that I sealed it in an envelope, and then once I came to my senses, I ripped it. I didn't even open it. I just ripped it. It would be so embarrassing to read this. I don't even want to see it. But because she had a body I was attracted to and a nice smile, and this personality that I hardly even paid attention to. She had a great personality. However, if I'd paid attention to it, I would have realized that in 3 days that we were completely incompatible. But what happened is I saw something that made me feel a certain way, so I threw my whole heart at it. I just threw everything I had at it. And for 2 years, I wasted my emotional energy. I wasted the my heart, where the springs of life flow from it. I wasted that, and I did some stuff that made, I wasn't a stalker or anything by any means, but I did some things that made her life, made her hate me, basically. Trying to win her heart, and it didn't work because she knew all along that we didn't fit together, but I just, I was distracted. And then when I finally came to my senses, I was so glad to be done with it, and I was just, what was I thinking? Because I went from, I believed what my feelings said, and I thought, this is it. Instead of stepping back and saying, wait a second, is this real? Do we work together? Anything. I didn't do any of that, and I still, to this day, regret the time that I wasted during those 2 years. But then, I met Christine, and it was interesting. I told you when we met each other, we both noticed each other, and then once the thing ended in my mind with girl number 2, all of a sudden I started noticing Christine more and more. Even when I had it, the crazy thing, even when I was still trying to go after girl number 2, I was in Russia. I got a letter from Christine, who were just barely mates. It was just a friendly letter, just sort of, hey, how's life and stuff. I read that letter over and over again. It never occurred to me, stupid man that I am, that there was a reason why I was so happy to get this letter from her, and why I read it over and over again. And then I wrenched my heart back from this unhealthy obsession that I had, and all of a sudden I started noticing Christine. And what happened was, there was the attraction, there was this thing of I want to be with her always, forever, no matter what. And it was just, it felt like absolutely nothing had ever felt before. The good memories I had, the bad memories I had, it was nothing like that. It was nothing like the first girl. It was just something so amazing, so different, and so real. And it led to some extreme cheesiness, because we were sitting up on a bench overlooking her village. My arm was around hers, and we were talking, and we looked across the valley. It's down in South Wales. We looked across the valley, and
can I just say? I said I was cold.
Yeah.
Because it was really cold, and Jeff took this. No, I wasn't meaning that. That's what he thought.
So she said she was
across
cold.
came the arm.
To do? Of course, help her be warm. So again, we're sitting there,
I did not mean that.
and we look across, and there's some. You can see in the clouds some fireworks going on, sort of in the next valley, and
Bound to be on that night.
and we heard them. Okay.
How was it?
And Christine said, "There's fireworks," and I said, "Yes, they're going off in my heart." And and she has, for the last 12 years, she has made fun of me for saying that. I fell in love with her, and we fancy each other more than we ever have. We are so in love with each other because when it came time to give our hearts to each other, there weren't bits of it ripped off still and given to other people. So we had to recollect some bits, get patched up a bit, but God can do that. But we gave our hearts to each other wholeheartedly. And what we have now is just so amazing, so wonderful.